Since the attack, we have been on the defensive, reacting to the enemy's plans. That ends now. We must seek out and destroy the cult's source of power if we are to end its reign of terror here in Nuln.
And how are we to find it?
The cult must have camps scattered throughout the sewers. Find one and capture its leader. He will tell us what we need to know.
Shalom, hello and welcome. We're going back into the marvelous world of Warhammer Chaosbane. And this time around, we're bringing the fight to the Chaos Warriors. And, well, in all honesty, this is a bad idea. And how can I say this properly? Nah, you're just gonna see how it works. Somehow ticklish things, we can pull up the good fight and decimate the chaos numbers now with a counterattack. It's not like I've been counterattacking them since the beginning of the game. It's not like we've been killing them over and over. Anyway, going back to some sort of rooftops. I guess it's over a bridge this time around, as you can see. And, well, the followers of Nurgle are not really that glad to see us again. But they never seem to be happy to see us. They just seem angry and spiteful. And most of the time just annoyed. Or downright homicidal at times. But I guess that's what happens when you're basically a witch hunter. When you're a witch hunter and you fight chaos, and your main goal is to get rid of chaos. So that makes sense why they will act so hostile towards us. Boy, am I glad to do this. Now, it's again, the overuse of enemies is, as you would expect, something normal for this part. I feel kind of bad they didn't introduce more enemies. Besides the Nurglings, the cultists, we have Ungros and Plague Bearers. Yeah, Plague Bearers. And, well, sure, it's nice enough to kill them and those monstrosities. I think having a more a more diverse set of enemies would have done the game better. But alas, what can you ask for it? What can you ask from it when we know what it is? Again, the trap ability, I don't really use it that much, but it's very good when you're fighting hordes or enemies that are coming at you from all directions. That is, unless you change to the good old range mode and just blast everything like you see right here. But to each their own. Some people might prefer the traps rather than the spinning guns. But let's be honest, the spinning guns are the best. There's no point in aiming when you can just hit everybody, is there? Now, as I said before, items seem to give more defensive bonuses most of the time rather than offensive ones. And on higher difficulties, that is something... it's needed. You need a lot more defense than you need offense. Well, you need a lot of defense in the first place if you're playing on something higher. But also, interestingly enough, you also need a lot of offense to kill the enemies before they get to kill you. But with the weird mix and some items just being downright awful, there's not much that can be done. Here it tells me about unleashing a rage mode or a very powerful ability that I just skipped over, because the button for that one is the button I use to record, And what's the point in using a super cool ability that does a lot of damage and is pretty amazing when it stops the recording? That if a tree falls in a forest and there's nobody in the forest, the tree make a sound? Now that's a good question. And what's the point in doing that?
No, I can't.
Also, this beastman, this shaman beastman, very annoying individual. Now they will bring more enemies, magical enemies that can buff them, can buff the horde, which is something interesting because it makes you prioritize your targets. But I usually prioritize the ones that shoot from range or shoot with magic, and are not just buff spawns that just whoa and they buff things. They are a threat to be sure, but still they aren't that big of a threat that you need to focus all your attention on killing them. Depends on the situation. You don't really want a horde of buffed up Ungors jumping on you and making sure you don't see them. Making sure you don't see them mark. Another shaman. Of course, they suffer from the same problem as the archers. They like to move around a lot, and I really mean a lot. It's not even funny at this point how much they like to move around, and it really becomes more annoying to face them when you're mostly focusing on your melee rather than your range. Now surely the wood elf archer would have been a good choice, especially against targets like this, but as I think I've said before, I think the witch hunter is the best option for this game. Lore wise, at least, it makes the most sense to me, because you're in the midst of a chaos insurgence and you're fighting against it and trying to stop it from ruining the empire and killing the soon to be new emperor. Yeah, soon to be new emperor, because this happens before Magnus becomes the emperor, if I remember correctly. Or that's what I think they say in the beginning of the game. I've also activated the companion fan ability, fancy skill, which is really nice to have. I really thought this was gonna be more like the companions you have in Diablo 3 where they gather stuff for you. And this thing only raises your looting range, if I'm correct, so it's still good. See, ma'am. And new upgrades with, again, more hats. With a weird look. A nice tint of, no, there's a nice tint of brown, in fact. So it almost fits with the sewer levels. At this point, we can camouflage ourselves and become sewer rats or something along the likes. And the lone plague bearer just dying.
I smell man flesh.
And here it is.
Kill the unbeliever!
And now it's time to defeat them in the most brutal way that we can. Just by spamming everything we have. Basically spamming the multiple skill shot. Not skill shot, the range shot. The no need to aim when you can hit everybody. And the beastman goes down. We do our job in capturing him. Gather what's around the ground, not to miss any important loot, and
may the Lord of Pestilence turn in your ghost-your slime! Hold your tongue, beastman, or by Sigmar, I'll give you something to howl about!
And that's it for the sewers. I was really expecting to have him tied and like following us, but apparently we just leave him there and he just decides to help us, which is really counterintuitive to, I would say, the main a plan that Teclis had right here. Changing the hats a little. Got an orange one again. Always love that orange. And something about the gauntlets I can't remember. Now, you would expect Teclis to be like this mastermind and that how he can think of stuff and just come up with this brilliant solution on how to resolve this problem with the Beast Lord and with the Nurgle insurrection happening in the town. But not really. I also remember this pus and Nurgle rot on the ground, which doesn't make much sense if that just appears out of nowhere in the city. I think the people that Teclis doesn't want to panic are gonna be panicked about all the creepy stuff that's coming out of the sewers. But then again, Teclis is the one that knows and they don't appear, and apparently the people living in Nuln don't seem to care that much about
too much from him, though.
that,
He's
so
more beast than man.
I guess to each
Leave
their
him
own,
to me.
in a weird
I'll
way.
have the answers I seek,
Probably.
one way or another.
Now let's see what Teclis is next time. And I skipped away to yeah, of course I did. Here it tells us about our personal stash in the dormitory, and that's basically a chest in which all characters have access to, and to store their items. It might become good after a while. It might just be useful later on, because right now I see that I'm getting a lot of gear that's more orientated towards the witch hunter than anything else. But now it's time to meet Teclis at the entrance of the cemetery. I wonder what goodies will that bring us. Why the entrance of the cemetery, you might ask? Well, Teclis can explain it, but I think I'll do it shorter, because that's what the Unguro says. That's what the Unguro says the cult leader or something is. So, you know, follow the Beastman, because Beastmen are very trustworthy creatures when you're a human.
Required very little
Aren't they,
persuasion
Teclis?
to turn on his human allies. The creature says the leader of the cult is a man named Friedrich Kessler, and has offered to lead us directly to the cult's shrine, located deep within the sewers.
You expect me to trust the word of a beastman?
This has nothing to do with trust. If there is one thing that all followers of Chaos have in common, it's they will betray anyone and anything in order to protect themselves, faced with...
And you don't think he'll betray us too?
Not while we're holding the knife.
Of course you won't, Teclis. Of course you won't. Because we're holding the knife in this situation. It's his city that's gonna be razed and destroyed by followers of an evil god. Not Nuln. And surely not your elven capital. Or your brother. To make it hurt even more. Even if you care about him, though. I remember they're pretty close, so whatever.
What's this?
Spawn of chaos.
Rise! Spawn of Nurgle!
And of course he would betray us the moment he got the first chance. And why wouldn't he? We've proven to be dumb enough to trust him and let him lead us to his trap. The Teclis surely did. Apparently the witch hunter had better ideas. But can you really trust the beast man? Can you? Can you, Teclis? Can you really trust the beast man? Can you take him to brunch? No, apparently you can't take the beast man to brunch. Because you probably got you before you can get there. And now we're left in the cemetery. And of course we have to leave, but you can never leave the same way you came. That's something that really annoys me. Or at least something that I didn't really try in the beginning. Because technically when it tells you to leave a part, you expect the entrance of the place where you came from to be blocked off. So you don't really have a choice but to find a new exit. Well, technically, except Chaosbane decides it's a good idea to make you run to the other side of the map. And at this point, I'm not really sure if this is the part where I leg for it or not. But again, the spin to win really works. And hey, what can you ask for it? It's a lot of damage though, as well. And the pistol seems to be one of the more weaker items. No. Well, the pistol is weaker than his sword. Than the Witch Hunter's sword, I feel like. Yeah, it definitely is. And hopefully this is the one with the straight line. I think it is. Oh no, there's a chest right there. Gotta remember to open all those chests for the loot. Or else I'm stuck with the bad items I have on me right now. And that's gone. A little more goodies, surely to be taken. Again, more damage rather than more health. I pick right there. I don't always do this. It depends on the percentages of it. But as you can see, some of the percentages these give are sometimes rather lackluster in their numbers. Because let's be honest, if you want to put a new upgrade on you, you want to have something cool. You don't want to have the same thing somebody else has, or even somebody else has. No, you want to put something that's weak on it. I mean, you could if you want to ruin yourself some more. Maybe there is somewhere there is a Diablo-like game playthrough challenge where you don't change your starting equipment, and that would be kind of fun. Of course, I go for the church expecting, or for that tomb entrance expecting something to be there, but no such luck. So we're going to the way indicated by the map. That is way longer than it really should be. The cemetery seems to be directly in the city, but like it's really no, it is in the city. But when you look at this area, it's some abandoned, washed up part of the cemetery that really gives me vibes of the Diablo 2. Or was it Diablo 1? No, I think it was Diablo 2 Cemetery where you killed that one lady boss, whatever. Because it feels as open as that, or close enough to it. And you see, we are gonna leave the cemetery and we're gonna come out on a side that doesn't make any sense.
Word of advice.
Or at least to me it doesn't. It feels like the cemetery is basically made to be around the city. Like the cemetery is this weird part without walls, by the way. And we're talking about Nuln right here. It should have big walls and
he led me into a den of monsters
artillery
and
for it
killed us
to defend
both.
itself.
I had not expected
Is a weird part around the city where it's not blocked off and
such loyalty from an
you might just
Agreed. There must be a greater power at work here.
it's just a huge
But
opening
what?
for the enemies. That's what I don't
do
really
not
like
know.
about the design of
and
this
that troubles me.
city.
If the servants of chaos would sooner die than give up their secrets, then we must find another way to reach their...
What do you have in mind?
Heinrich Voss knows more about the chaos cults in Nuln than anyone else. Speak with him. Perhaps he knows a way to obtain the information.
And of course we're
we
sent
seek.
to Henrik Voss,
We'd be better off.
the man that
catching
tried to
another
kill us in the
Ungol.
beginning.
What was
A
that?
fellow witch hunter, in
Nothing.
fact. Good
I'm
times,
Sure Herr
very
Voss
good
will
times.
be happy to help.
But this will be all for now. Thank you for watching and hope to see you next time.